Yay! Pew 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 pew. Hi, I'm Dodger of Press Start to Continue. I'm delighted to be here. I'm wearing a Sunbros hoodie that is totally not mine. and I'm excited to talk about Akame got kill.
Woo! Woo! How's it going? It's just I add the bass to the group. So what's up, ladies and gents? My name is Lou, and I'm from Sitting by the Window Anime Reviews. And yeah, I am the bass in the group, as I just mentioned, and it's all about the bass, no trouble.
About the bass. All right. Yes. I am MissART of MissART. I have a YouTube channel in which I do YouTube reviews of anime, manga, and I recently started getting into actually posting stuff about my art. It took about like 2 years, but I'm finally living up to my namesake. I was like, MissART, why are you MissART? I was like, I swear, I'm an artist.
I actually do art. I promise.
I do the art, I swear. So yeah, that's very exciting. I'm excited to be here with you guys to talk about how I got killed. Thank you for the invitation.
Yay! Yeah, thanks for joining us.
We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Apparently, I would like to note, I unmuted everybody but myself. So my introduction is completely silent, but you guys are there, so it's fine.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Maybe I should say, in case if you've never joined us before, we're like a podcast in which y'all get together after we've read part or all of a manga and discuss with friendship, love, and lots and lots of spoilers. And what we also like to do, if you've never joined us before, is we will give you a short, spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, aka a summary, read by our lovely MissART, and then we will give you our spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you should spend time reading this manga or not. And then if you decide that the manga sounds interesting to you, we will give a 5-second countdown in which you can take yourself and go read the manga. And then once you've read it, because you don't want to be spoiled, you can go back and watch the VOD of this right here at youtube.com/HappiLeeErin. It goes up immediately after we're done with the show. So let's do spoiler free. Oh yeah, just really quick spoiler warning to everybody in chat. No spoilers until we get to the spoiler section for what we've read, and then after that we only read chapters 1 through 14, volumes 1 through 3, so no spoilers for after that. Even if you've read the anime, watch the anime, whatever, you know. Yeah, if you
read the subtitles.
If you did a thing to the anime, then, you know, don't spoil anything past episode 8, I believe is where we ended in the manga. So, now, lovely summary, please. Woo!
Oh, well, here I go. In a world. Okay. In a fantasy world, fighter Tatsumi sets out for the capital to earn money for his starving village and finds a world of unimaginable corruption, all spreading from the depraved prime minister who controls the child emperor's ear. After nearly becoming a victim of this corruption himself, Tatsumi is recruited by Night Raid as a group of assassins dedicated to eliminating the corruption plaguing the capital. Capital C, I should say. Capital gets a capital C.
It's called capital.
Yes, it is it's capital squared. Alright. So basically, Night Raid is mercilessly killing those responsible for the corruption in the capital.
Dun, dun, dun. Perfect! Yeah. That's great! Yay! Yay. Awesome! Just spoofingles. Now we'll go into spoiler-free recommendations. Who would like to go first? Anybody?
I can go first.
Hit it.
I definitely recommend the manga. I recommend the manga leagues above recommending the anime. Mm-hmm. I thought the manga was actually really nice to read. It was dark while also having humorous moments that I thought were played really well. It seemed to flow really well. I thought the pacing was good. And I really wanted to read more because I actually, like, right where we stopped in the manga is right where I stopped in the anime and just, like, gave up on the anime. But reading the manga, I was like, I want to keep going. I'm so excited. This is so great. So I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it.
Awesome.
I'll go next.
Hit it.
Mine is a lighter version of what Dodger said. I
Not,
enjoyed it.
not quite as heavy.
Is
Not
this
quite
the
as
not
diet
quite as
version?
heavy. I'm-
The
it's
diet
not as-
version of what Dodger said?
It's a lighter recommendation. In other words, yeah, it's a pretty good read. I wouldn't go out of my way to continue reading it, but I wouldn't mind. I'm curious to see what differences it has from the anime because I know it diverges later on, but that's spoilers, so I'm not getting into that. But anyways, yeah, I would say, yeah, go if you like shonen. This is something that you may be interested in.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
I'd like to go. All right, just jumping right in there. All right, well, I'm coming off as a fan from watching the anime first. So it was very interesting reading the manga with the anime, all my baggage I'm bringing from watching the anime. And I have to say, I got to piggyback on Dodger here and say that I really enjoyed what I've read in the manga so far. Like, if you like action and gore, and shonen manga, then you're going to like this. And I would give it a recommendation because I could see how a lot of elements of it are very palatable to a broad general audience. So, yeah.
And I agree with all three of you. I think I had, there's some issues that I had coming in from the anime that I think kind of like tainted my reading of the manga a little bit. So I had to like definitely step outside of that thought for quite a bit of it. But I do recommend it to people who enjoy something that's very fun and something very shonen-y. Lots of really good action. The action is one of its strongest parts, and a really good gore as well. I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who's looking for the prime example of storytelling and dialogue and that sort of a thing. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you're going into it with that mindset, but I do recommend it in that it's a lot of fun, and I think it's a really good read with what we've read so far. So that's my recommendation. Yay! There you go. Spoiler-free description, spoiler-free recommendation. Let's jump into spoiler section.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tatsumi is God.
No, Bulat is God. Bulat was best girl. I
Whatever.
will live and die by that.
Whatever.
Live and die.
There's a lot of boobs.
There's so many boobs. Spoiler alert. There's so many
There are a lot of
boobs.
boobs.
The boobs
There aren't
are
bare
God.
boobs. There aren't nips.
No, there's
Boobs are
no
God.
nips. There's just a lot of bouncy cleavage and
Yes.
face
Butt
planting
cleavage.
into cleavage. Butt cleavage. There's a lot of booty cleavage.
It's true.
Mostly from one character.
Yes.
It's funny, like, okay, so just to hop in.
Yeah, just do
like
it.
Erin, you were saying that that you felt like the anime kind of tainted the manga for you because you didn't enjoy the anime very much.
I didn't enjoy it. What we read, I actually enjoyed in the anime, and then as the anime went on, the latter like 3/4 of the anime I didn't enjoy nearly as much.
God, so I didn't like the aesthetic of the anime anyway, but I liked the concept of it. And then the more I watched it, the more I was just like, God, this is just not hitting right for me. It's just, there's something about it that isn't really hitting it. And then reading the manga, I felt like it was like I got a second chance with that same cool story that I really liked, you know? And I was like really excited to read the manga. And it didn't, I don't feel like it let me down at all. Like I actually really enjoyed it.
I
would
love.
say-
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I think what really helped the manga get along is the fact that we can control the pacing as opposed to the anime where everything was very rapid fire.
Yeah.
I took my time with panels, and I just by doing that and controlling the pace of my reading and just how I'm consuming the information, I just found that everything was that much more appealing because of it.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And to tie it into the idea of pacing, I mean, to balance the heavy gore and action in the manga, the really humorous parts, the silly parts, they worked really well in the pacing for the manga. Where in the anime, maybe it was
It
because
was
the
jarring.
it was very jarring,
Yeah.
and it distracted from the storytelling.
Mhm.
But I thought it was way more effective in the manga. I enjoyed it more. I was enjoying the story more because of that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. This is what I was gonna say. That like the pacing, that was one of my biggest issues with the anime was how it would like the jokes just did not hit very well because they were like shoved into this dramatic moment and just pulled you out of the drama, or they just felt really weirdly placed because of how fast paced the whole thing was. But reading it, like those just you had more time. Especially I know with the first episode, I had a big problem with that because we had Tatsumi kill the girl and then his friend die in his arms, and then immediately after that there was like barely any time spent on his friend dying, and then there was the joke of him getting kidnapped by Night Raid. Like that happened in the matter of like a minute and a half, and so it was so jarring. Whereas in the manga you got a little bit more time to mourn when the characters, spoiler alert, lots of characters die in this manga. When the characters die in the manga, you get to spend more time with that, whereas in the anime it's so fast paced that you hardly like get connected to the character, and then you hardly get to mourn them because it's going on to the right on to the next thing.
Right. Which kind of, I mean, eventually, because so many people die in this, eventually that also plays into the theme, right?
Yeah.
Where they're like, you don't have time to mourn. There's a bigger picture here, right? Like, you have to be able to move on and just like, suck it up for now and feel those feelings later.
Yeah.
But I also just really liked story-wise. I really like the story. I can tell, like, from hearing you guys that, you feel like the story is maybe a little like, I really like it just because, like, sure, it's not super deep. It's not super deep. It's like, there's, corruption and government, and they're overthrowing a government. Wow. What an original story.
It's like, oh, wow, that unique.
Yeah. What I do like is that from the very beginning, they established this idea of, like, you've been fighting monsters your whole life, but you've never met monsters like these. Like, these monsters are people who, and we're able to touch on so many different ways that people can be corrupted without there needing to be any, it's not even like magic has corrupted them, right? It's like, these are just people who are super fucked up, right? Like, I love that concept and the way that gets to play into the art, how the art is like, pretty crisp and nice and like, whatever, lol, we're fighting things. And then once we meet somebody who's like shifting, their face gets crazy, right? I love that. I don't know. I thought that the way that they're telling the story that way is super interesting to me. It makes it really enjoyable for me.
I agree with that. Like, that's the part of the story that I absolutely do love. Like, I do love how it's showing that Tatsumi went into the world expecting to fight against, like, ogres and big old, like, fish monsters and trees monsters and things like that. But then you're realizing, like, the idea that humans can be the real monsters. Like, these humans, like, what's happening to them in the past, and, like, the road they choose to go down after that happens. Like, we're all monsters in some way, but it's like, what are you choosing to do with that? Is really fascinating and interesting to me. I had something else there.
I also
building
hated-
off of that.
Sorry.
Yes.
No, I was
Go
gonna
for it,
say,
Lou.
I feel so bad. I'm always interrupting.
No, hit it. Go.
I talk so much, Lou.
Yeah, no,
Please interrupt me.
We have to interrupt one
building
another.
off of that basic idea of that particular theme, one thing I do wish they would have done more is focus on why these people are corrupted and like how that power that they have affected who they are and why they became that way. That's one of the minor gripes that I have with this, is that it's taking its time to develop Tatsumi, but it's not doing the same thing with its villains as much.
Yes.
I have to agree with that. I felt a lot of the villains, at least here in the beginning, I'm not going to go past chapter 13, but definitely.
Oh, you got 14. You have to 14.
14. That's what I'm
14, you're good.
14. Got it. It all blurs together now. But I really felt that all the villains were rather underdeveloped. They were merely just like the backboard on which the main characters, especially Tatsumi, were growing, like you were saying, Lou. For that reason, I didn't really care. There wasn't much drama behind most of the fighting. It isn't until we get to like Seiru And when we get kind of more of her backstory, that I actually feel involved with the fighting.
Yeah.
You know?
She's Justice Girl, right?
Yeah,
Is that
she's.
Justice
I
Girl?
call her Justice Girl too.
With the crazy dog.
Yeah.
Crazy dog. Yeah,
I love her.
I love her dog. I love
Oh
her
my god,
Taker
I
so
love her
much.
dog.
Where can I get one?
He's just like, I'm super adorable, and now I'm ripped out of my mind. I'm just like, oh.
This is amazing. I can say that was like one of my favorite scenes. Was that battle?
Oh yes.
The art was spectacular, especially with what that dog's name is, like Goro or something.
Yeah.
I love abstractions. Like that's why I'm really enjoying Parasite lately. Is I just love crazy abstractions, and I thought the artist did a really good job in that fight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
The artist is very good at, especially during action scenes, showing and not telling. Like, there are a few times where you have, especially in the fight of Bulat versus his, like, old general, you had a lot of, I'm doing this, oh ha, I beat you because I used this before you did this, oh, it's my blood. Like, you have a lot of telling there, but there's also a lot of showing through the action instead of like telling exactly what's going on. And so I really do like that scene, that fight particularly, because there's so much told through the dog, especially, where you're just like, holy shit, he's just getting crazier and crazier, and he's not just this cute fluffy thing. You're like, this, like, these things, the Tegu are like terrifying. Like, there's nothing, like, depending on how they're used, like, they can be, even the
Like,
dog can be
every weapon
freaking-
is a weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to know who came up with that dog, because it said there were like a council of people
Yeah.
that just came up with these weapons. I'm like, who are these people?
There
Who
was
came
like
up with that
one
idea?
cute little kid who was like, Daddy, make one a puppy.
I want one that looks like a puppy.
No, I was wondering about that because it wasn't super clear for me whether, and I felt this way in the anime too. It wasn't super clear for me whether they just kind of like collected all of these items and were like, and just made something and then had to kind of figure out what it does, or if they specifically fashioned things to do something specific. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know enough about like the beast that they were made out of. We don't know if there was like some part that was uncontrollable. Like when you put pottery in a kiln, you get a general idea of what you want, but it's not always what pops out of the kiln.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We don't know that level of detail.
That's something like I really hope that they go into more explanation later on, because right now it feels so much like there was an emperor who had so much power and he knew he was gonna die, so he wanted to protect his land, so he made all of these crazy, ridiculous weapons. And it's like, just, that seems like such an excuse, which isn't bad for considering what it is, but like, just seems so thin of an excuse to be like, hey, we have all of these really cool weapons now, let's show you all these badass battles with them. Like, it's just...
Well, yeah, at the very least, I want to know why all of the weapons wound up scattered.
Yeah.
Oh, they
it-
kind of
they say that.
hinted at that.
Wasn't it
Did they?
Yeah, they said that the weapons were lost during a
war?
civil war that happened 500 years ago.
Oh, I kind
Like
of missed that.
it was a little blurb that was the beginning of a chapter or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a box thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
And I forget, like, when I was watching the anime, I don't remember this at all. Maybe it's because I haven't seen the first few episodes of the anime in a while. But when they were describing the country itself, they mentioned the countries that are surrounding it, and they were saying they were populated by creatures of like different races, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all in the anime.
No, I don't think they even talked about it in the anime, and I was like, that is way more interesting
Yeah,
to me.
I was like, I can see that, and I was like, I'm not going crazy. I want to make sure that this wasn't in the anime, and I thought it's a missed opportunity. There could have been some really interesting storytelling and dynamics coming from that.
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot of not so much with the manga so far, but with the anime there was a lot of, man, that opportunity, just like, you didn't just let that slip by, you like kicked it down the hill and watched it roll into the river. Like, that was
That
what the anime
opportunity took
did
a bird
so many times. But with the manga, there's definitely like been a lot more hinted at things are gonna get explored, it feels like, which, fingers crossed.
Hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. But yeah, I really enjoyed the abstractions where like the people are getting crazy, they're turning into demons.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the manga, actually I had a Migi quote from Parasite come into my mind. Here, I found the quote. I found it. I was like, oh God, I know. Okay, so Migi's quote is, upon researching the concept of demons, I believe that among all life, humans are the closest thing to it. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly
is.
what's
It
going
does like
on
sync up
in
totally.
this
Yeah.
manga. Because the visually, and this ties into the visual storytelling of the manga and why it's so successful in that respect, is that they're literally transforming, they're dehumanized into these demon forms. So that's definitely one of the strong points of the manga.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
One thing I'd like to point out, in addition to what you were talking about, the origin of the weapons dodger, I like how that factored into Tatsumi's development in terms of him going from having hope that his friends would maybe come back one day to completely having that door shut on him and just breaking him.
And they had a really good reason for it too. It wasn't just, we know that there are none that can bring back the dead just because we know. It was like, obviously the best emperor we've ever had would still be alive if we have
exactly.
And I was like, good point, everybody.
Yeah. That's one thing the manga, something this mangaka does not do is does not like give a fuck about very many things. Like, you know what? I'm like, you're attached to this character. I'm gonna kill him.
Oh my God.
I was like, since I saw the anime, I knew it was coming, but coming in the manga, but when I watched in the anime, I had the Sheely, what was her name?
Shere?
It's like different in the,
Shere, I think. Shere.
Yeah, Shere. Her death in the anime, I was like, I feel like somebody might die, and then she died, and I was like, what? And so I knew it was gonna happen in the manga, but it still was like, when you have a series that kills characters, like the first one, when it doesn't do it immediately, it catches you off guard later on because you're like, oh, well, these characters, especially being trained in a shonen, you're like, oh, their vital part is probably going to get missed. That always happens. Like, nobody in the main group dies. And so when that, like, after being trained for that and then having it happen later on, like, not super later, but, like, later in the manga than right away, it, like, really catches you off guard and leaves an impact with it. So I thought that death particularly, her death I thought was really good. Sad, but really good.
One thing that really pissed me off in regards to the anime was because Shere and Bulat were my two favorite characters.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was like, first I was like, oh, I really like Shere. She's awesome.
Bye.
Nope. And then Bulat, no, this guy's awesome. Great Aniki character. And then
Bye.
Yeah.
I stopped loving after that.
Yeah, so did I.
I closed off my heart forever. It's a good choice. Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it caught me so off guard is because, like, there are characters in that main group that we still have not heard a backstory for at all. But we got her backstory. So I was like, she's definitely going to be one of the main characters, right? Like, we got her backstory. She's on, like, this road to, being a useful, awesome person. And, and then she just died. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, they just killed her, like, already.
And, like,
and
they didn't,
Blood...
sorry.
No,
they didn't, like, sugarcoat her death or anything. Like, she got, ugh.
Oh, that was gory.
Yeah.
You can, like, see the intestines.
Yeah, which is awesome,
like,
but so sad.
Great. Terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like, comparing, again, the manga to the anime, I felt like we got more of a warning in the manga, because before the fight, the mangaka took a page to re-emphasize the fact that once people with Tengu go into battle, someone always dies.
Yeah,
they prefaced that, and I remember, and I just thought to myself,
I was thinking about that too. I was like, maybe no
warning.
one will die this time. Maybe this will be the first time ever that no one will die.
Right?
Yeah,
Not
maybe.
now.
No. But I remember going into the fight, I didn't know who would die. I was hoping, I was kind of hoping Seiyu would, or Seiru would, but then again, I had a feeling it was going to be either mine Oshire. And I have to say that I appreciated her death more in the manga than I did in the anime. I think there was just more shock value in the anime that was kind of false.
Yeah.
But here in the manga, I was like, I felt it again, right in my heart.
Yeah.
I thought it was way more effective.
I agree with
Yeah.
that.
And the end of that battle too, Justice Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Justice Girl.
we feel her like full on getting like deep into that madness, you know?
That was something that I liked both in the anime and in here, where it was like just seeing the craze for justice. Like when you first meet her, you don't expect her to be what we see at the end of that chapter, but looking back, it doesn't feel wrong that she is like that. Like it doesn't feel like she completely just swapped personalities. Like you can see bits of that in what happened before, but then she kind of like broke and it went to the extreme. So it was just it didn't feel fake at all. Her like breakdown thing happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell whether all of that is just her ambition kind of affecting her, or if part of it is that she was straight up like experimented on to become a superhuman, and like that's kind of detached her a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that whole thing though, because you meet her and you're like, oh, she's part of the enemy, but she's so sweet. She wants to be a good person, and then you're like, oh my god, like,
you're just like.
I wanted to know what like her comrades thought about her, because she's sitting there with like stumps for arms next to her dog who's chewing on something, and they're just all kind of like, 20 feet away.
Yeah, just like
I was like, oh yeah, that's our comrade over there.
What's happening to her?
I was like, I'm confused.
One of oh, hang on, we can finish with this. I just had like a gore moment that I absolutely loved. If I can touch on it.
I liked a lot of the gore moments.
When my favorite was when S Death's three subordinates, like general, I don't remember what they called them, stopped the northern folk carriage, and the little what rat like cat boy, little cat boy, he like carved her face off. I was like, haha.
Yeah, and they were
so
like,
creepy.
did you at least make sure to kill her? And he was like, she died.
She died halfway through shock. What a pussy.
She's fine. I was just like,
and like the lead up, like that was one of those things that's just it just gives you the skeeves, because it's not just a typical. He didn't just stab her and cut her all over and stuff. He like carved her face off and was really excited about it. Like that's creepy.
yeah.
That's creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, Lou.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say, free your mind.
Say what?
Careful with what you're typing.
Me?
No, free your mind in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Shh. We love you.
Character names can also
I thought you were
count as
telling me
spoilers.
to free my mind, and I was like,
Free your mind.
Me too. I was like, what's happening?
pretty
Lou was like going through an existential moment, like,
Yeah. Are you okay?
mind.
I was talking specifically to one
like,
person.
okay.
Free your mind, bruh.
Lou,
Free your mind.
thanks. Yeah, let's go back and talk about Bulat, shall we? What did you guys think about him?
Aniki.
I like him with his hair up and down.
That was best girl.
End of discussion. Did it. Covered all the bases.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You know what I love about Bulat? I love that the main character is obviously very homophobic, like
Yes.
extremely homophobic, but the mangaka chose the most like manly dude to be, his like gay character. And I was like, that's kind of awesome.
I love
Like he's
that.
just like
Yeah.
he's just like awesome, like the coolest character.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Tatsumi is just like, don't touch me. Don't be alone with me. I don't trust you. I'm like, oh my god. So like, it's funny because when that first joke happens, you're like, ah man.
Yeah, it's like, really?
Yeah.
Where's the
Really?
coming in here?
Yeah.
But you realize that Tatsumi is just like written to be that guy, and literally no one else cares.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just like, it's Bulat.
Yeah. We love him.
Yeah, he bangs dudes, but he's rad.
We don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him so much. He's just such a fun, cool character with like, just really, I'm gonna say, just watching like really good values, and I think it's somebody that Tatsumi really needed to look up to as well. And I hate that he makes me so sad that he had to die for Tatsumi to get his powers, but it is nice to see that move on to Tatsumi, like him inherit and Kuzio. I think is really, really neat for sure. As much as I wish Bulat was still around.
Yeah.
He's around in Tatsumi's heart.
Yeah, he's around
In our
all
hearts.
of our hearts, really.
What I liked most about Bulat though is that of the backstories that we've been given so far, I think he's the one with the most legitimate reason to have specifically an issue with the capital and its government. Because if you look at Mind's backstory, Mind's backstory was more an issue with the people and their racism. And the mangaka didn't really tie it in with the capital's policies.
Yeah.
All they really hinted at was they practiced isolationism. So the fact that the people of the capital and of that nation didn't interact with other nations. There was discrimination because of that, but it felt really flimsy for Mind's reasons. Shara had a pretty interesting backstory, but in terms of her gripes with the government, it's just, I'm good at killing, so I'm going to work for whoever.
Yeah, hers were very, like, not even really about the government at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really, and he was also, Bulat's backstory, we got a lot in those last two chapters, but it was also, his was nicely detailed, little details placed of it early on, like, with the wanted poster, and also with the leader being like, he used to be a member of the government and stuff like that. So his, like, wasn't just all thrown at us at once. It was nice little details placed, which I always really enjoy stuff like that, where it's little details and then we get the full story.
Yeah.
Well, I think that denotes good storytelling because it's showing forethought in the character development. Yeah. And I think that's what contributes to him being a great character, and it's no surprise why all of us love him.
Yeah,
so
whereas like the other characters really don't get that at all.
Yeah.
Like boobs.
Like boobs.
Boobs didn't get that.
Oh.
But she turns into a lion girl, and that's rad.
Dude, crushing.
And I love Akame.
Yeah.
I think she's great.
Oh yeah, Akame.
She, like, one thing with the characters is, like, when you see them, they're not super stand out from what you're expecting. Like, they aren't completely opposite of what you're expecting with their designs and how they're presented. And so what is nice is that quite a few of them have just really endearing quirks to them that still make you enjoy them, even if you aren't getting a ton of depth from them. They're still really engaging at a lot of points. And so it's really nice to see that, especially with their interactions. And with Akame, like, you are expecting her to be just this cold-hearted bee who doesn't take no crap and all this, but she's just really sweet. She has a dark side to her, but she's, like, obviously very genuine and sweet and knows what she's trying to do, but really cares about those that she loves and will do anything for them. And she's not just painted as this emotionless girl. She's painted as, like, having a lot of emotions, but also just understanding her role and what she needs to do.
Yeah,
really
it's more,
like.
she's painted more as, like, the most well-trained out of all of them.
Yeah.
Like, I can turn it off when I need to because I need to get shit done. But inside, she's, like, the sweetest one.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh.
So cute with her food.
I know, and she just cooks all the time. I love her.
So cute.
And it's always steak.
It's always steak.
Hey, steak's good.
Steak is amazing.
Yeah,
It's
rad.
got
I love
good
steak.
taste.
Yeah.
Get that protein. Get ripped.
Get ripped.
But I think that I was just gonna say with the characterization, piggybacking on what you're saying, Erin, is that a lot of the characters are based on like tropes you see throughout anime. But the fact that they're twisted, they're given just a little bit of nuances, I think is what keeps it interesting. Because the tropes will bring people to the series, but then the way the artist, the mangaka, made them unique enough to keep people around, that I appreciated that.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Can I just say, String Kid is so uninteresting to me.
Lubak.
He's
because he
the
hasn't
most
done
honest.
anything.
He hasn't done it.
He's just been there. He'll pop in and be like, "Yo, my strings are doing shit," and then he'll disappear for
but
2 chapters.
I can tell when people are trying to break in. I'm gonna go see if I can see a boob once.
Okay, bye.
That's it. That's literally all he's done.
See,
Literally.
this is where strings were better in Helsing.
Yeah.
Strings were
yeah.
awesome in Helsing in comparison.
Yeah, no, he's like been given no.
Nothing. I saw the Dodger.
Did you just spill? Did you spill?
Nah.
She's gone. She did something.
That's a Dodger reflex. She ran away.
It's like, oh no, I did something. Bye. I was gonna say, oh god, what was I? Oh shoot. I was gonna say, talking about like characters that aren't that interesting to me. The leader, Najenda isn't that interesting to me. Oh, what's happening to you?
She decided to clean her table.
Did she just like start crying?
For Dodger.
I spilled water everywhere.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I thought I only spilled a little, but
It sounded like a lot.
I'm sorry, I'll mute myself so you guys can keep talking.
No, don't. This is still funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
she did.
It's entertaining to
It
us.
was so funny how like she just like I heard the collapsing of her water bottle and I was like, "Did you spill?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Nah."
Runs off to get a towel.
It's gone.
This reminds
I
me of
just
the
felt
tonal
like-
shifts in Akame ga Kill.
Yeah. I was gonna
From
say-
deep discussion to Dodger dropping water.
and then
Dodger's making it
I
rain.
was just watching her clean up her water spill.
She's being very thorough about it. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 water spill. Yeah, I was gonna say, Najenda, she's not that interesting to me. She's like one of those characters that's just so straightforward and obvious trope. The badass lady leader of a gang. Like, that
I
is
wanted her
what
to
she
be
is.
like Integra, and she was like,
Yes!
no.
She wasn't even like a quarter of Integra. She's just not
Sure.
that interesting at all. She's there to lead the group, and that's it. She doesn't really do any. Just, I wish she had a purpose beyond being like, this is our mission. Like,
Boss?
It
Are you guys
reminds me
talking
of
about
Charlie
Boss?
yeah, talking about
Boss.
Boss and how she's one of the
Boss
most
thing.
uninteresting characters for me.
I love her design though.
Oh,
I
her
want her to
design.
be fucking rad.
Exactly. Her design is so badass, and then her character, I'm just like, wasted. Wasted. It's another opportunity thrown down the hill. That's what it is.
Kick down the hill.
Kick down the hill. So, yeah. What did you guys think about her character? Basically the same. With-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, I want to know about
Just
her
wanna know
robotic
more
arm.
about
I
her.
can't even remember if we learned about it farther along in the story.
I don't
Um,
think so.
But yeah, her
Yeah.
character design's cool. Personalities.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way about like the Emperor, boy Emperor.
Oh,
He's not
totally.
very interesting either.
I think he's
Or the
supposed
Prime
to be
Minister.
kind of like
Yeah, him too.
lacking in anything because he's supposed
And
to seem
everything.
very easy to manipulate,
Yeah.
you know?
But it's,
And so a lack of personality kind of helps us imagine him being that easy to manipulate.
yeah. The villains so far have been, I know we kind of touched on it, like they've just been haven't been super fascinating to me yet. Like, they just feel so, hey, we're here, let's kill bye. Except for Justice Girl. Like, she's been my favorite by far, so.
I like how they've been building Esda, though.
Yes, as
As death, yes,
Yes.
definitely.
That name is just badass.
She's rad.
She's great.
She's like, I love that. I love when she visits the area where they torture people, and everybody's like, she's a real sadist. They're all
Yeah.
like looking up to her, like, wow, she really loves hurting people.
I wish I could be like her.
Yeah, God, if only.
You're boiling the people too quickly.
Yeah, I loved that part. She was just like, wouldn't you want them to suffer more? Here, I'll drop this giant thing of ice in there. And they're
Oh
just
God.
like,
But not only that, like, but really all I want is a boyfriend. I'm like,
yeah.
What? Like that just made it so much better. At first I thought she was totally joking, and then she was like, no, for real, here's a list of all of the requirements in a mate for me. And I'm like, what?
Moral of the story is everybody wants to touch butts.
Everybody.
Akame got killed. Everybody wants to touch butts. Yeah, she's getting built up to be really cool. I'm excited. Yeah. Trying to think what else we haven't touched on yet. We kind of talked about Leona. But we didn't talk too much about her. Do you guys have anything else you'd want to add about her?
I like her character.
Yeah.
I know that she's boob girl. I get that.
Yeah.
But as like a
She
character,
owns
I love that she's.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of that, right? The fact that she's that personality where she's like, yeah, my boobs are out. What?
Yeah.
like that's just her. And I always really love the kind of genki violent characters, as weird as that sounds.
Yes.
And she's totally that genki violent person who's like, I'm gonna beat you to death with my fists and then I'm gonna go eat food. You know?
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
I totally like how she got her Tengu as well. Like everybody else seems like they fight for it. It's like, oh, it's got a match. Hers is like, I was at the pawn shop and I was like, hey, I'll take that. Hey, now I've got magical powers.
I loved
Yeah.
what the pawn shop guy responded to her with, like how she got it. It's like, yeah, you got great boobs. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like, she owns it. It's the same
It
thing.
ties into her character so well. I
So
can't see her
perfectly.
getting her Tengu any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
get that.
good.
Yeah. She's fun. I like her.
Yeah, she's a fun character.
Yeah.
I like her.
I like her a lot. And then there's Mine. We haven't talked too much about Mine, but there hasn't been too much with her yet. But
Yeah.
she's the same, like, standard tsundere type character so
She's
far.
super tsundere, yeah.
I really don't like her
Yes.
at all.
Yes, tell me
The
more.
thing is, I just, as a general rule, if there's a tsundere in a series, I'm not going to like her. I really disliked Asuka and Evangelion a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really dislike Taiga and Toradora a lot.
Yeah.
Tsundere and I, no.
I think Yoku
Yeah,
hates
we know
tsundere
mix.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
okay,
is
that's-
why it's so fun to call him a tsundere.
Yeah.
But
Is it
Yeah.
just me? I was reading, I can't remember what her weapon looks like in the anime, but I felt like the design was a little different in the
Pumpkin?
I
manga.
have her
her
pumpkin.
pumpkin cannon?
Yeah, her pumpkin. Like, I feel like in the anime it was more just like a blade that happened to like shoot out a laser beam.
Mhm.
But here in the manga, it actually had like the mechanical like doohickeys that you would think of something that shoots laser beams.
Right,
To be very
yeah.
technical.
Yes. I just loved mechanical doohickeys. I just really liked that.
Technical term. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, in the anime it was very just, hey, here's a gun that shoots stuff. But like in the manga there's a lot more detail and thought put into it. And I love pumpkin. Like I
Yeah,
love
pumpkin
that
is
weapon.
cool. And I just
really-
It's so OP, but I really like.
I really hated it in
I
the
just-
anime.
Oh yeah, in the
Yeah, I
anime
had
it
a
was
problem
bad.
with it in the anime
Yeah.
because it just looked like a sword that fired a laser beam for some reason.
Well,
It didn't make sense for me, but I like it better in the manga. What
It
are
was
your
not
thoughts?
only
Doc?
that, it was like, I don't know, the whole concept of it in both the anime and the manga like irritates me.
Yeah.
She's like, no, if I'm in a bigger pinch, then it'll shoot a bigger blast. And I'm like, what? How does a weapon measure that? Is it like tapping into your brain and monitoring your stress levels? But then like eventually wouldn't you not be stressed out in those situations because you'd be like, oh, it's cool because my pumpkin's totally gonna shoot a huge blast.
Well, that's
and
totally
then
what
it wouldn't
she's-
shoot a huge blast,
Yeah.
and then you'd be fucked. Like I don't understand.
That's
how that
totally
works.
what she like. It is. She's like, oh, the fact that she has to repeat every fucking time that she's in a pinch. It's
I'm in
like,
a big pinch.
I'm in a
She
pinch.
just sounds like one of those really annoying video game characters that just keeps popping in while you're fighting, and it's like, no, I get it. You're in a pinch and you're gonna fire a bigger weapon. Okay, I understand. But like the weapon design itself, I absolutely love so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's so silly. I don't like characters who repeatedly tell you their moves. Like that really bugs me. I'm like, I know.
Oh, one thing since we're talking about Pumpkin am I the only person that gets annoyed by just the prevalence of like fire or melee weapons when firearms are available? I don't know. That's just something that always bugs me when I see like, oh no, everybody's using swords, but this one guy
Has a firearm.
several hundred people have guns, and all these people with guns die.
I mean, like, the weapons were made a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So maybe melee weapons would have been more natural to make a lot of.
Except for that
Right?
one gun.
Sure.
Except
We'll
for
go
that
with
one
that.
gun. There
And
was
a dog.
There was one and a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
there was
guy.
that one kid
guy.
who was like, "Can you put a thing inside my puppy?" And they were like,
Yeah.
"Cool, we did it." And then there was another dude who was like, "You know, I've been hearing a lot about firearms," and everybody was like,
Those aren't
And
gonna
then he
be
made fun of him.
big. Who needs
Those are
firearms when you
bad.
got swords?
Yeah, no one's gonna use those in the future. Swords are where it's at.
And they were right.
Yeah, and then they made giant scissors.
Yeah.
I know.
And strings.
All of us are just like, as
Strings.
we're, strings. As we're going, we're all just slowly just like, you know, it's making less and less sense to the
Yeah, this is
continuity
just-
of these weapons.
And the eyeball.
And the
And the eyeball.
eyeball.
Yeah,
And the ever-changing armor.
that's
Change,
awesome.
Which is really cool. Somebody in chat, Potato Swagman would like us to talk about Incusio more. So let's do it.
I like
Alright.
the backstory of the weapon.
Yeah.
Mhm,
It's just
me too.
the most badass danger beast, just wrecking everyone, and it evolves instantly to, and it makes perfect sense with the weapon. So I really like that a lot.
In the translation that I was reading, it kept saying that normal humans can't wear this, and I was like, what do you have to be in order to wear it? Because
yeah.
Bulette was totally cool with just giving it to Tatsumi. I was like, is Tatsumi gonna die if he puts that on?
Because he believes
You have
in
to
his
have
heart.
a layer of plot armor.
Huh?
On top of
Your plot armor.
other armor vests.
That's how you wear it.
And that's another reason why I feel like they just kind of made stuff and wung it. We're like, I hope that this has a cool ability because like there's
YOLO.
things because there's things like in Curcio where they're like, oh, most people can't even wear this. Like people keep dying when they put on this armor. We'll just set it over here.
And like the dog, like people keep getting eaten by the dog.
Yeah. They're like somebody will match up with this dog eventually, maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, the armor is really neat. Like it's neat to see it in battle, and like all of its abilities are really cool too. I really like it.
Yeah. And then I think it being associated with Bulat first really helps. Just tie into how it passes on to Tatsumi. It just adds to the awesomeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
is
there's-
that little love circle.
It's like it passed on his legacy.
Can I ask another question? I'm gonna try not to yell as much. I'm so sorry.
What?
Can I
We
ask?
have done 77 episodes of this show, and you're like, I'm gonna try not to yell.
I know because somebody told me that I'm the total biscuit of this podcast. And now I'm like,
no.
oh god, I need to tone
Oh
it down.
no. Yes, Dodger.
Okay, so I was thinking about the dog.
yes.
Right? I was thinking about the dog, and something that I wondered in the anime and something that I'm wondering again reading the manga is the way that they've described the dog is that he reacts to things that are not just, right? That he can that he seeks true justice. And I'm like, but is it the true justice of the person who he's bonded with? Because he should be able to recognize the intentions of the people he's fighting. And I'm like, maybe it's okay with Shere. Not that it wasn't sad, but Shere was straight up just like, the only thing I'm good at is murder. You know, so maybe like, but like in the future, I feel like when people would interact with this dog, he'd be like, nah, they're good.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
No,
true.
I think it's what you said. I think it, just like any other dog, you know, it's gonna support its master more than anything. So, I think that kind of plays into it supporting Justice Girl's brand of justice.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. But I can definitely see too being like, you know, her justice may not be the right way.
Yeah.
But
How does this work?
that's just me. We are coming up on an hour here soon. So does anybody else have anything they would like to discuss? Otherwise, we'll wrap up and give our final thoughts and ratings.
We can talk about the art. I like the art.
Oh yeah, we can talk more because we kind of like sprinkled it in throughout a lot of different stuff. But yeah, we can talk about it. Hit it, Lou.
Okay, what I wanted to talk about the art is
Sorry.
Erin, I'm not that violent.
Just keep telling all of you to like punch things.
Hit it.
It's the Akame kill. It's bleeding into you. But no, one thing that really bothered me about the art overall, I would say is really solid. Mm-hmm. But Tatsumi's design, a lot I would say for the first 10 chapters, well, for me at least, felt very lacking in detail and very flat. Mm-hmm. It was just a lot of just line work with no real shading to add detail. Yeah. Like, for example, to give you something or a point of reference, if you look at Mine's design early on in the series, in the frills that she had in her getup, like up top by her collarbone, mm-hmm. There was some shading underneath that. Versus if you look in the same chapter at Tatsumi, there's really no shading on him at all. It's something that gets fixed a little bit later on, where you start to see some shading in his hair a little bit. But overall, that's just one thing that kind of bothered me. It's not really it's a nitpick more than anything, I would say. But it's definitely something that I noticed, and I kept noticing up until about chapter 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of assumed. So when I first watched the anime, I was totally caught off guard by the first episode. I didn't know anything about the show, like what it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of lured me into this false sense of security where I was like, all right, standard, shonen story. He's like hapless dude, good at killing things. He's going to go into town and join the guard and become part of some wacky story, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the first episode, it turns super dark. And I loved that. And I kind of assumed, because I noticed the same thing, Lou. And I kind of assumed that was intentional at the beginning for everything to seem like very like bright, not a lot of detail to kind of like darken it, just very fluffy looking. And then it gets very not fluffy at a certain point.
That's true. I even noticed it in at least Estes' character, because I think her outfit is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the first panel we get like a full shot of her versus panels where we get of her later. Her outfit, the details in her outfit shift, at least particularly where she has these like strands that come out from behind her. They kind of look like, in the anime, they always look like some kind of glands. Some kind of weird, gross glands. But then the first time we see them in the full shot, they just look like fabric, torn bits of fabric.
Yeah.
But then later on, they start to get like volume and dimension as I guess the mangaka was changing his mind and developing her outfit more and more. So in some ways, it's kind of nice to see the art grow because it's showing someone a mind at work. Looking at his art, looking at his story, and trying to improve it. Whether we can argue the more basic designs were intentional in the beginning, it's hard to know.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see improvement in the art and in the character designs as he went on. And in some ways, that's like you wish it was consistent, but in other ways, it is a human being getting better with each page. So I think you could be understanding too.
Yeah.
Coming from an artist perspective.
Yeah.
You've been there where you're like, oh yeah, well, now that you pointed out, it's obvious.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody in the Farkas Messiah, said more shaded equals closer to death. I don't want to think that.
Oh no. Just get more and more shaded over time.
I really enjoyed the art. I thought it was very clean and consistent, except for like some of the shading, like you were saying, Lou. But I think like the action scenes were really clean and really easy to understand what was going on. The characters, designs, like a lot of the times tended to prefer the character designs over the actual characters themselves. And I really liked it. I liked the designs of a lot of the tegu and all of that. Like, I thought it was really consistent throughout the entire thing and being really clean and all of that. So I thought the art was, like, I thought it was very good. Like, it didn't surprise me in terms of, like, unique or creative or anything, but it was very good for the story, very fitting for the story, and was really well done in, like, proportions but you can tell that the mangaka knows how to draw bodies in different forms and, like, different angles. Like, a lot of the angles took a lot of liberty, not just, like, a straightforward panel. There was a lot of different points of view that they did, too. And I thought that was very creative and really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality there. It was good.
Yeah. Let's wrap up and give our final thoughts and rating, shall we? Woo! Anybody want to go first? Anybody? I'm trying to figure out what to rate it, so
Me
that's why
too.
I'm not like jumping in there. So I'm trying to figure out my rating.
I'll go first.
Go for it.
I'll go first. Okay, overall, I would say it's way better than the anime. Like, it's not even close. Even though it was a straight adaptation, I would say it's a pretty solid read. And I'm like I said earlier, I'm not really enthused or motivated to read more.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be against reading more. And the art itself is a major selling point for me. So, and the gore, I like gore. Gore is good. Blood and guts.
Yeah.
But I still have my gripes with some of the storytelling and just little details. So I would have to give it maybe a 7.8 out of 10.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to give it an 8. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think that it was mind blowing, but I liked the art a lot. It kept me wanting to read it, and it went by really fast. And I find the world really interesting, and I like that the mangaka isn't scared of, like, killing off characters, like getting you attached to characters and then killing them off because, hey, that's the world they live in.
Yeah.
So I actually really liked it, and it was a very pleasant surprise for me because the anime started off really cool for me and then took a nosedive in my mind. So I was delighted to see that the manga kept with kind of a tone that seemed to suit the subject matter a bit more and have a much better form of pacing. So I would, again, I obviously recommend it. I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Awesome. I think I'm gonna give it a 7, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, but I did have a lot of gripes with the story. Like, there was a lot of inconsistencies for me, and, like, just, you knew everything I said before, everything I already said, and I can't remember, but that's why I'm giving it a 7. I really like the art. I really like the characters, but I do wish there was more depth to a lot of them. I'm really interested to see where the story goes, but like Lou said, I don't know if I would necessarily go and, like, seek out reading more of it, but I did like it way more than I liked the anime because I thought the pacing was a lot better. There's just quite a few parts of the story I wish they would do more with, or do more with so that they didn't just feel like a flimsy excuse to do this other stuff and give it more purpose. So I'm going to give it a 7 because entertainment, gore, art, character, like, they were a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And so based off of that, I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of comments you guys are saying. Story-wise, man, I'd give it like a 5.5 on the story scale. It's just, like you're saying, it is not as well developed. The world isn't as developed. And as a fantasy fan, I'm used to sinking into a world and learning details, and we don't get that here in this story. Yeah. And that really is a detriment, but it makes up for it in the art department. Like, I think the art is really well done. It is very hard to depict action scenes clearly with very few panels, and I feel like the mangaka was very talented in that respect.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting how the art style of the manga didn't actually translate to most of the anime. Like, the styles are different. Only when people started going crazy did we get, like, that sense of the manga, that styling of the manga. So I'm actually kind of disappointed now, and even more in the anime. I want to see more of the manga style.
Yeah.
It was pretty badass. So because the art was so good, despite the story, I'd probably give Akame ga Kill a 7.5 overall. And I would recommend it to people who just want something fun to watch if they want that gore factor, which can be a lot of fun,
Yeah.
but just don't expect a lot of depth. But you'll have fun at the same time. So yeah, I don't think I'll personally continue reading it, mostly because I watched the anime, so I kind of already get where the story's going. But it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I would like to interject that this was requested by Vin from the Indiegogo.
Yes,
and thank you for selecting that.
I put that in the chat or in the description, but I totally forgot to say it earlier.
We're very
Yes.
thank you
Blue for the save.
recommending
Yeah,
this.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. So much fun to recommend or to read. Thank you for recommending it. My brain has just like gone. Well, let's go ahead. That is it for our discussion of Akame ga Kill. We all think that you should definitely check it out because I think you'll have fun with it. But let's go ahead and give the description for what we're reading next week. I can go ahead and read it because I have it pulled
Do
up. So this is the last of the, or no, this is the second to last of the requested manga from the Indiegogo. So everybody in chat, you get to guess what I'm reading. He doesn't do well at school. He has no girlfriend, but he has never lost a fight. He is a typical high school delinquent, and his name is Blank Asuma. True, he has special powers, but he keeps them to himself. You see, he can read incidents and memories from the past when he touches people or things. Yes, he has psychometric powers. Ryoko Shima, an expert profiler, finds out about Blank's powers and puts an end to his ordinary life as a high school student. Persuaded by Shima's charm, AG helps Blank
Messed it up.
Blank starts helping her investigation into unsolved homicide. Further mysteries ensue. Story written under the pen name Ando, Yuma.
Nothing yet.
This is a little bit more of an obscure one. It's older. It's definitely older. So, Glass Slip? No.
No.
It is totally glass lip. What are you talking about?
God. Talking about an anime I did not enjoy. Glass
Dude,
Slip.
talking about an anime like nobody enjoyed, except for Jonas, except for Corey Jonas. Only person I know who loved that anime. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody is getting it. It is Psychometer EG. AG.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we are reading that next week. We're going to be reading volumes 1 through 3 because I think the chapters were a little wacky, and so we're just going to do volumes 1 through 3, and wherever volume 3 ends is the end of what we're reading. Because like I think it was set up that like there are no chapters or something strange like that. So we're going to be reading volumes 1 through 3 of that. I will put it in the description down below since I pronounced it wrong. So it'll be in the description down below, and it's also on our Reddit, reddit.com/r/mangapod, where you can also find, hey, Paperclip Killer put it in the chat. Thank you. Where you can also find our recommendation thread if you'd like to recommend manga to us, and as well as our schedule for all of the other upcoming manga that we are going to be reading. So that's what we're reading next week. Let's go ahead and shout out all of our stuff really quick, and then we'll say bye-bye. I am Erin of HappiLeeErin. You're here on my channel, youtube.com/HappiLeeErin. I do anime reviews and anime first impressions every season, as well as season preview videos. I just uploaded my 2015 winter anime season preview video if you want to go check that out and see what 5 anime I'm super excited about this season, because there's like so many. Also, all the previous manga pods are hosted here. If you would like to find me on any other social media site, I'm HappiLeeErin all across the everything. The ones I use most often are Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Dodger. I have 2 channels, Press Art to Continue, where I do gaming and anime-ish stuff, and Dexterity Bonus, where I drink coffee and talk about my cats. And on all the social medias, I'm at DexBonus, DEXBONUS, and you would all be so proud of me. I have totally been keeping my hummingbird up to date.
Oh!
I know. I've been like the second that I open up something to watch an anime, I open up Hummingbird so that I can immediately be like, watched an episode. So if you want to know what I'm
gave you a slow
watching,
clap, Dodger.
I know, I see it, I appreciate it.
Oh,
So
just
if you
a
want to
heads up.
know what I've been watching, it's all on there. I'm Dex Bonus on there. So yeah, Lou.
Now, I was gonna say that Crunchyroll has an extension on Google Chrome. So if you're watching on your desktop or laptop, it'll auto update your Hummingbird for you.
What?
Oh, this is I didn't know this.
What?
Yeah, there's a Google Chrome extension
That is amazing.
that works with Crunchyroll, and yeah, so just figured I would say that. Also, I figured I would say that my name is Lou, and I'm from Sitting by the Window Anime Reviews, and I'm pretty good at segues. But I do anime-related content, sometimes first impressions, sometimes reviews, sometimes I rap. First impressions, and I think I said that already. And dubbing Erin, which I will continue to mention because it was just one of the most
really good.
amazing things that I made in like 10 minutes.
Dubbing me in Spanish.
Yeah,
It's really good. Love it.
And yeah, you can find me at youtube.com/SBTW Anime Reviews. You can also find me on Twitter at SBTW Anime Review. So no S on that one. And I believe Hummingbird also truncated my S. So just SBTW Anime Review there. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome.
Very cool. All right, and as the guest, thank you guys again for inviting me. I am
fun.
Yay! You can find me on my YouTube, which I think Erin put all the links to all the social media
Yeah.
down below.
Down
But I
there.
got a YouTube where I like to talk about anime and art and books now. I'm starting to get into books. And follow me on Twitter because I'm starting to get more active on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm also active on Tumblr. Yay, the 2 T's. And I do have for what it's worth. So yeah, I'm just thank you guys for letting me talk with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining
Thanks for coming
us.
on.
Yes, thank you. You were wonderful. It was so great to have you.
Yeah. Shucks.
Yeah, we'll have to have you
Hopefully
come
you'll come back
for
sometime.
sure. Yeah.
Love to.
Yay.
Fun.
Awesome. Well, that has been Akame Got Gill. Akame Got Gill.
Yeah. The fish manga.
Akame Got Killed MangaPod. We will be here same time, same place next week at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on this channel, youtube.com/HappiLeeErin, reading Psychometeorology Volumes 1 through 3. Woo! We will see you guys then. Thank you so much for watching us live and in the chat. And to those of you watching the VOD, thank you so much for watching that as well. Thank you, MissART, for being a lovely guest. We loved having you, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.
Better.
Bye.
Boop, 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 boop.